Hey, I'm so glad that you are back today. I'm so glad you're back today. Today we can talk a little bit about what's been going on with me, but mostly I want to share with you the seeds I bought at the hardware store this week and, chat about the plants for my garden a little bit. This is a bag of some snow peas that went to seed before they got picked this past spring. And those are going to get planted, and we'll see if, they're still functional as snow peas. Miscellaneous watermelon seeds that must have come out of a grocery store watermelon. I don't think those are getting planted. They were just put in this box by not me. Let's see here. We have some hard red wheat that I do believe that I bought to just grow grass from my cats that I have not used in a while. So maybe that can happen. Miscellaneous citrus seeds that I must have bought, but they don't have a label on them, and I could not tell you how many years old these are. Maybe replant some, find out. I have an inclination that they're finger lime seeds, or at least that's what I bought. That or blood oranges, because that would have been in character for me. But it's also dirty. But I think I'm gonna plant a couple of those inside and see if anything, comes up. I have a bunch of these little packs of cut flower food. So if you buy a bouquet of flowers from a florist, or more commonly a grocery store, they have this stuff with them to put in the water so that they last longer. But I usually, on the occasion that I buy flowers, we'll pick out a few bundles of different types of flowers and build my own flower arrangement. I usually don't buy a prearranged one, though the ones I have right now are prearranged. So I just end up with extras of that. Don't fall over. There we go. And this is a bag of, they're just compressed peat moss that you soak in water and they grow, and then you just plant a seed in the top for easy starting of plants inside. I have, I guess, 3 of these very little ones, and then also I have these bigger ones that don't fit in the tray I have for them, but I am going to probably make use of them anyway. Now that my hands are covered in dust, we can get into the packs of seeds I have. I have so many. I had quite a few packs of seeds in the spring. But instead of keeping them in a plastic box, I was keeping them in an old shoe box. And there was a water incident. And so a lot of the packs of seeds I had for a lot of different herbs and things, because at some point I would like to have a little herb garden. I don't know about inside or outside. We'll see. But a lot of those, molded and got ruined. But I think this is just a bunch of flowers. So I have seeds for lavender, which would also, be in an herb garden. And these ones, I live in kind of a warm climate, so I actually, even though it's January, have a few like scragglers in my garden still. I have some arugula that is just going to seed at this point, because I was given a pack of arugula seeds, which I still have, and I planted far too much, so that is still out there, and it has just started blooming to go to seed. The flowers look interesting. And I have a tomato plant that's still, living its best, and then some snow peas that are still doing okay, even though it's a little colder at night. It hasn't frozen over yet, so there's a few things out there, but as soon as we get a freeze, that will all die off, and then I will, clear it out. But some lavender. I would like to get this set up in a planter, ideally. However, I have far worse luck keeping things alive in planters than I do in just the ground. Alright, and some chamomile. And chamomile is just a variety of daisy, so they would also just be really pretty, along with being nice to dry for teas and things. I usually just, buy chamomile tea, but it would be kind of cool to grow my own, I think. Okay, and then the next flower I have here are white moonflower. I've grown a few of these in the past, and it's a climbing vine, and it has white flowers about this big, and they bloom when the sun goes down. Simple enough. Which, are fun. And I had at the time planted some of these dark purple morning glories, which bloom when the sun comes up and are also climbing vines alongside them. But while I had quite a few of the moonflowers come up, at that time only one morning glory came up, and it ended up being just kind of a regular pinky color, which, whatever. I was a little disappointed. These are called 5-spot. I'm not about to read the Latin name, but you can help yourself. I have planted these before, but I have not actually succeeded in getting them to grow. So I have, let's see, like a dozen seeds left in there. So I think I will just, roll all of these into the ground and and see what happens. And if they don't grow, you know, I just don't get those kind again. I have a couple of packs, so just slightly different variations of snapdragons, which are some of my favorite flowers because you can pick them off and squeeze the sides and they open their little mouths. They're fun. So since I was little, they have been some of my favorite flowers. I do have a bunch of snapdragons growing out in my front flower bed right now, and I will probably just dump the rest of these seeds in there come springtime, but I am also going to let the ones out there go to seed and just, you know, live their best. I also have some violas out there scattered among everything, and then a couple of shrubs. Like there's a calla lily that may or may not be doing too good, and a kangaroo paw and a little rose bush and a mum. You know, just, I like this. This is pretty. In the ground it went is what I did. Let's see, there's these little purple flowers. Rock soapwort. It appears this is labeled as a container variety along with this snow in the summer. And they appear to be a perennial, so something that while it dies back, the same plant will come back the next year. And I bought these. They're supposed to be about the same height, so I bought them to plant together, but again, I have not had any success getting them to come up. So I'm gonna, you know, see if I can find a place outside that they would like, and see how we can go from there. Okay. I had a few packs of seeds like spill the other day, and I had to sort them all back out and get them all back in their package. So I'm trying to avoid that happening again, because most everything is open, because I don't need to plant a whole pack of something at once typically. Alright, what do we have? So this is the pack of arugula that I have planted outside, and it is like, there is maybe enough arugula seeds in here for the rest of my life. I am not a fan of arugula. It's kind of peppery tasting. I like pepper if I'm going to have peppery, you know. I can throw it in soup, but I don't really like it on like a sandwich or something, you know, but people in my home do. So we have it. I have this pack of lettuce seeds that actually grew really poorly where I live, and I couldn't handle being in the sun in my yard, even though I'm fairly certain that this is a full sun variety. This says it's a cool weather vegetable, so I was curious about that. I have another pack of lettuce seeds somewhere. So I planted these in the spring and they didn't do so well as it was like heating up for the year, but I planted some of these ones in the summer and they just did not come up at all. until it had started cooling down for the fall. And then they came up and worked out really well. And these are just like, coated and stuff to make them bigger, easier to handle, easier to see. So probably both of these are going to be a next fall plant. But the arugula came right up in, I guess I planted the arugula at the end of summer. I did. Yeah, and it came right up and it's been perfectly happy all through fall and such. These are some radish seeds. They're not the round radishes. These ones grow the same way that a carrot would, but they're pink and taste like a radish. And again, I'm not a big fan of radish. I will put it in soup, and that is fine, like the arugula. But again, like, maybe not enough radish seeds to last my whole life, but at least the next few years, undoubtedly. I have most of a pack of sweet corn seeds. I planted last year four seeds, got 4 stalks. But the thing about corn is it doesn't pollinate very well itself, because it self-pollinates for the most part. Unless there's a bunch of them, which is why they plant corns in a field. So I did not have a very good turnout. I'll probably not plant these in my main garden. Maybe plant them along the fence or something in a little patch so that they can kind of like have enough plants to be able to pollinate. I eat corn like once a year in the fall when the corn on the cob is fresh. So, and otherwise I don't like preserved or frozen corn. Very picky, I know. But I'll probably put that whole pack in the ground. I do have these watermelon seeds, which will probably be the ones that I plant, not those ones that came out of the grocery store watermelon. Yeah, I have quite a few in here still. I always end up picking watermelons a little too late, so I'm going to have to like pencil in when I plant them, when the blooms show up, to kind of track when to pick them a little better, because I always leave them a little too long and then they're not really great for consuming anymore. These pumpkins grew really well last year. They grew incredibly well, and I like having fresh sugar pumpkin to make, muffins and things. I did make a pie at Thanksgiving at the request of my family, but mostly I just put it in like muffins, pancakes, and things. So I'm going to be planting probably just a couple of these. I don't need that many pumpkins taking up my whole garden. Let's see. Cantaloupe. I planted 2 cantaloupe last year, and they took up my whole garden. But they just kind of, overran everything. There were tons of them, but the fruits went bad before ripening, before they were time to pick them at all. So I'm going to have to do a little more research on how to keep that from happening. But the measures that I took were not quite enough to save anything at all. I have some summer squash seeds. I am the only one in my family that likes these yellow squash. They didn't grow very well last year. I wonder if they just, maybe it was just too hot. Maybe I try these in the fall again. So let's see. Because, living in a warm climate, I can plant things in the spring, and then most stuff, not all, dies off when it gets too hot in the summer. And then as the summer starts tapering off, I can plant again and grow different things that do better in cooler weather through the winter. Like now. So maybe I try to grow the summer squash in the fall. Surely that's the most ideal situation. I'm just separating out what I planted, or what I'm going to plant specifically in the fall, and what can go in the ground in the spring. Because I don't have a big garden, I just plant a little bit of each thing, because I also don't have a huge family that's gonna go through a bunch of stuff. Okay. Oh, these are new ones. What? Okay. These are also new ones. Alright, so the last pack of seeds I have that are old are some cucumber seeds. They grew so good. Planting them in the spring, letting them grow through the heat of summer. When it got too hot, they did die. And then I tried planting more when the summer started tapering off, and they started to do okay. But the very first night that it got below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, they died. So this is not going to be a fall plant for me. This will be a spring plant, so they can go over here. Okay, and then I have all of these seeds that I bought this week. Let's see. Alright. I got two different pod eating peas. So some sugar snaps and some snow peas. So more snacky peas, and put in a stir fry peas. And I'm going to plant these, but also plant those, saved ones in separate spaces, labeled, so I can tell them apart. I know what I'm looking at when I'm picking them. But peas have grown really well for me all year. The ones I planted in spring were perfectly happy until they expended themselves and didn't want to produce any more peas. And then I immediately planted some more, and those ones are still doing great, living their best life. So I will probably taper the planting of them, maybe half and half, along with those other ones. And then when they get closer to the end of their life cycle, on the other side of the trellis, I can plant the other half and half. I think that'll be a good plan. And those are going to be planted directly outside. So far, I think everything is going to be planted directly outside. I got some carrot seeds. I got the ones that are going to be different colors, just because I think that will be fun. They taste the same as, just all orange carrots. So I got those. And then I have two kinds of green beans. I have some trellises set up in my garden, so I specifically got kinds that would climb the trellis, not ones that'll sit in a little bush plant. That takes up, more space that I don't have, which is, why the peas are so great for us, is because I can, trellis them up. They don't take up a lot of space. But these are like, regular green beans. And these asparagus green beans are supposed to just, be really long green beans, I guess. But this is a, I know will work out well, and this is a, I hope it works out well, and I hope it tastes like asparagus. It probably will taste like green beans. But we'll see. We will see. Okay, and then the rest of the packs of seeds I have are, I believe all of this is going to get started inside in those little peat moss circles. I have just a pack of cherry tomatoes. I'll probably try and get 2 plants started. I noticed, and it, tracks with my purchasing habits at the grocery store also. When I grow the regular larger tomatoes, we don't use them, and I don't buy them to cook with. But I make a lot of stuff with the smaller tomatoes, and I will buy the packs of the small tomatoes and make salsas or put them in, different things. So I think that will be pretty great for us. And the cherry tomato little ones are what I have out in the garden right now. So I'm gonna start some of those off. Let's see. I also have some bell peppers because I use a lot of bell pepper that I'm going to start off inside and see what we've got going on. This just is supposed to have seeds from different colors of bell pepper. I'm not going to plant the whole pack to know, so I'll get a mystery color of bell pepper. Okay, the rest of these are herbs because, like I said, I want to have a little herb situation going. Some thyme. I do, have dried thyme, but fresh thyme just smells so good and is so delicious. I've got some oregano. Basil. And I got a purple basil because I thought that would be fun. Hopefully it grows well. Hopefully it's purple. And then just some chives, which kind of have an oniony flavor. And I think those will be good herbs to start off things for me. But those are the ones I use the most in my kitchen when I'm cooking as dried herbs. So I figured that they will be the best options to have around as fresh herbs. But I'm not very good at, keeping things growing in planters. So I've tried to grow herbs before and they have just died off on me because I haven't ever set up an herb garden in the ground. So maybe I find a little space separate from my vegetable garden that's going to be turning over depending on the season, and see if I can get some of that set up. I think that would be nice. Okay, let's just pack everything back in. Okay, let's see what's been going on with me though. I think the thing that I've mostly had going on see. I had to replace the hard drive in my computer recently. I was using quite an old one that did not have a lot of space on it to begin with, and because of the nature of this this hobby of mine, I do kind of require a bit more, storage space. So I got a new card? No, drive. I got a new drive. I did not install it myself. I did not. I have attempted to do my own computer part swap out before, years ago, and it did not go well. So I just bat my eyes and be like, hey husband, can you put this in for me, please, thank you. And I did buy it myself though. I picked out the right one successfully. I did the right thing, which, was great. It was stressful. It took an hour. Never again. Let's see, I guess every week I go to my raid group. I play Final Fantasy XIV, and I am in a group that does the Savage raids. So we're blind, so no spoilers. If you know what I'm talking about, shh, you hush. Don't ruin it. Otherwise, I probably get fired. I don't know. Yeah, I play a healer, which sometimes is stressful, and sometimes means I get to yell at everyone else, which is the best part. I do that 2 nights a week for a couple of hours because some people will go do this activity for 4 or 5 hours a night, like 3 to 5 days a week, and that's a lot. And I have done that before, but it takes up more of my time than I would like, and more of my time than I have available right now, between general life stuff and work and wanting to do other things with my time that aren't just that, and sleep. The thing we all need to get more of, sleep. But I read 2 days a week for 3 hours a day, and that's a good period of time. We do spend a significant amount of time during the week, just during the day, messaging back and forth on Discord, trying to figure out how to accomplish the next mechanics successfully. So, okay, if you're unfamiliar, there's a group of 8 of us, and we are in a party, and we go into the raid, and there's a boss that it's basically a puzzle between damage that it deals and different stuff that happens around the arena. And the goal is for the 8 of you to successfully navigate this puzzle without dying, without all of you dying. Some people can die, and sometimes that's okay, sometimes it's not. I yell at them if they die. If I die, it's their fault. Easy, So that's fun. So that's what I do a couple of nights a week. It's great. I have a good time. But a couple of our guys will record what's going on their screens so that we can watch it back through the week and look at what killed us where and what's happening to try and solve the different puzzles for the different mechanics of the raid. And for this specific video game, each time new raids release, it's sets of 4, and we are like based on the health bars of the boss. We are about halfway through the second one of this raid tier. So we're, by no means, the best of the best, because there are groups that race to finish all 4 fights, and they finish, within a few days. That's when they complete it. That's not for me. That's not for me. So I just am enjoying the slower pace. It's slower than groups I've been in before, where we would look at the solves other people came up with, and then we would just try and execute their solves, which, by nature tends to be a bit quicker. But that's not what this group I'm raiding with right now is doing. They like to do their own solves, and it's kind of fun. So I've been doing that. Let's see. I was a bit under the weather for a couple of weeks. And then I had a bunch of whatever to catch up on with, work and life. So that is where I've been. That's why I haven't been here, unfortunately. Because this is fun. I love doing this. But this is an extra. This is an extra in my life. So when I have time, I love to be here and do this. And when I don't have time, it's unfortunate and I'm sad. But, I gotta do what I gotta do. So, yeah. Is there anything else particularly exciting that's been going on? No, I don't think so. I live a pretty boring life in comparison to most people, I guess. Well, alright. I hope that you come see me again soon. Thank you for coming to see me today. Take care of yourself.